If everything was perfect, if everything was amazing, if everything was ideal, what would my ideal week look like? Seniors, at this point in time, when this episode comes out, we've got maybe a few more weeks or a couple more weeks until the holiday break. And that is, at least when I went to school, that was the kind of the deadline, the unofficial deadline to get all your college applications in. That's kind of the safe haven. We're like, all right, if you're good before the holiday break, you're good. You've applied, everything's in. And that's really kind of a good example to use to talk about priorities, because right now students may have to put certain things on hold to get those applications in. They may have to fail at some other things to maybe get those applications in, whatever. So we're going to talk about two mindset reframing tactics that we can employ, and one more strategic tactic. I'm using a lot of words there. One tactical strategy, that's a better way to put it, that we can actually help our students kind of with this process. So the first framing that we have to have with our students in this conversation is that you're not going to be able to get everything done. That's why we call it prioritizing. A lot of our type A high achieving students have this issue where if they're not checking all the boxes, they feel really bad. They feel like they've failed. They feel like they're letting things down, which they might be. And that's okay, because in their time in their life, they haven't figured it all out. Everything is new. Every year, there's been new challenges. There's been new adventures and new opportunities that have come to them. For adults, we may go 15, 20, 25 years before there's anything, a real big new challenge. That's if you're, complacent in your job and everything, and you don't want to do certain things that you have to, but they're not coming at you, right? From the time you're born to the time you are 22, and if you're going to college, and then the first couple of years of your job, it's like it's all new. Every year it's new challenges, new things, and everything's going to be thrown at you. So you haven't figured out that you're not going to be able to do it all, and that's okay. You don't have to be perfect right now, but we do have to actually prioritize and figure out when or where, we're going to be doing certain things. So letting go of the certain things that we may not be able to do. So for instance, if a student in this time of year usually always volunteers, maybe they always go to the soup kitchen Thanksgiving is a bad example, but they always volunteer something. They always do this or whatever, or they always are in the fall play or something like that. Whatever it is, they may not be able to do that this year. They might not be able to take on that extra challenge because they just don't have the bandwidth. They don't have the time. So it's a conversation of letting go. That's the first reframing conversation we want to have with our students. The second mindset shift that we want to have our students undergo is the long-term and the delayed gratification. Nowadays, it's very easy, and myself as an adult too, it's very easy to get sucked into an instant gratification world. It is, we have our phones, we have our laptops, we're constantly connected to the internet. We can get anything we want, we will watch anything we want, listen to anything we want at any time of day. We can eat anything delivered directly to our door at any time of day. It's crazy. I remember a time where things closed and you couldn't have it. Or actually, I don't remember a time, but I almost remember a time where the TV just shut off. So now that we have instant gratification, we're having such less opportunities to flex that delayed gratification muscle. And of all times, this is the time to do that. This is the time our students need to think about, what do I really want? Really cognitively think about that. What do I want to do right now? Do I want to scroll on TikTok for 27 and a half minutes? Because by the time I look up, it's like, oh, what happened?
Or do I want to actually do that second application, right? Or maybe do the last 3 pages of that other application? Do I want to, proofread my essay? Do we want to finish my essay? Do I want to go get those references? Do I want to, all these things? And the problem is that if you ask the student, what do you want? They're going to say, well, of course, I want to invest in my long term. I want to make sure that I'm getting into the colleges I want. I want to make sure that I'm, get the job I want, whatever. But if you don't ask them and catch them when their energy is low and it's late and they're tired, it's easy to just start scrolling, or it's easy to start playing games, whatever. So that's the second mindset shift that they have to understand, is that we are making investments. This is not going to be forever. You're not going to have to work this hard forever. It's like a wave, right? A wave crashes and then it settles back. It crashes and settles back. Right now, the wave's crashing, so you're putting the pedal to the floor, like you're really working overtime, and it will, I promise, it will come back, right? It will ease up. I don't have to tell you, students today are way too stressed, overwhelmed, and anxious about their lives and their futures. This is why I do what I do. As a youth speaker, I teach students to step back from the situation, see the choices they have in front of them, make great decisions, and build positive patterns around this process. Whether it's substance abuse, bullying, or stress about their digital lives, the students I've worked with have had some great success. So I want to work with your students. I want to come down to your school and your event and actually teach your students the art and the science of making great decisions. So click the link below and schedule your call with me so I can learn a little bit more about what you're looking for in your next speaker. So that is the mindset shift that we have to do. Now, the third strategy, the tactic that we can teach our students, will actually help with the triggering of this delayed gratification thinking. And that is the ideal week. Now, something I used to teach to my adults, and before I really started working solely with children, is the idea of the ideal week. And it works for teens perfectly as well. Unfortunately, we don't have the kind of resources that can teach our students and work them through this exercise, but it's very simple. What does your ideal week look like? And you take a piece of paper, take a calendar, take a Google Calendar, whatever. It doesn't matter what application you use, and you plan out. If everything was perfect, if everything was amazing, if everything was ideal, what would my ideal week look like? So this can start from, systemic, top-down level of thinking. This can be, I want to invest in my mind, body, soul. Whoa, okay. So ideally, every day I'm going to do some type of physical activity. That could be gym class, but that could be, working out. That could be lifting weights. That could be running, whatever. Every day I want to invest in my mind and my mental clarity. So every day I'm going to 10 minutes meditate before school. Wow, that's pretty cool. Right? And every day I want to invest in my spirit and my soul. So that may look different for some students. That may look like praying. That may look like reading a book. Totally many different spectrums. You can get as macro as that. You can get as micro as, what does my ideal week look like? Okay, well, I have school. I have activities. Okay, now I have to find time to do homework. I never really thought about that. When is the time I'm going to actually do my homework? Ideally, listen, if it's on a Thursday afternoon and your buddies are hanging out after school and you ditch it, okay, you can do it later at night. It doesn't have to be set in stone. But then all of a sudden you can see, oh, okay, I've got very actually limited time to work on college applications. So you know what? Every Saturday from 2 to 4 o'clock, and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a half an hour right when I get home from school, those are going to be my application and my essay writing times, because those are the spots that I can see that it fits. And unless you map this out physically on a piece of paper or on a calendar or whatever, you're just not going to do it. And then all of a sudden it's going to be crunch time and you're going to have 2 weeks left and you're going to be, flying by the seat of the pants, and it's going to be wild. So that is the tactical example that I would suggest you take a look at. There is many different people and many different resources that kind of teach the ideal week. So you can find a lot more online, but it's not hard. It's just the ideal week. So that is it. To recap, we want to have a couple of different mental shifts. We want to make sure that they are aware that it doesn't have to be perfect. Life, you can drop some balls here and there, especially at this time in your life. Number two, you will always, we have to exercise that delayed gratification. So you don't always necessarily have to be working this hard, but sometimes we have to put the phone down and we have to actually invest in our future. And how do we do that? Well, we plan out the ideal week. We figure out what times throughout the week, ideally, that we're going to actually put pen to paper and actually get things done we have to accomplish. And again, this exercise was using the example of applying to colleges because this is kind of that time, but this can be used for anything in any teen's life at any point in their life. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know I did. These tactics have worked very, very well for me. If you liked today's episode, then hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification every time I release a new video so you can be notified. And if you also like today's video, then you might also like this one right over here.